Welcome to WaggsCast, the cast where we talk about anything and everything from music to TV shows. Tonight we are talking about Toy Story and the soundtrack of it. And alongside me tonight I have my boy SoftEgo.
What's up?
He's going to be here. We're going to talk about the soundtrack, obviously. Talk about different parts of the soundtrack, different things that are important in Toy Story, what we think about it, what we don't think about it. First thoughts after listening to the whole soundtrack. Ego, go ahead.
First thoughts about listening to the whole soundtrack. I was actually re-listening to Toy Story 2 soundtrack, and that's my favorite one. I think out of the... I'm trying to remember the third right now. I'm so stuck in the second one.
Yeah.
But at least out of the first two, I think even out of all three, I think Toy Story 2 had the best soundtrack. I feel like this was almost...
You're lagging out a little bit.
Yeah, hold on, give me just a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. That should reduce a little bit of the lag.
Okay.
So, I feel like he was learning through all three of the movies on like how to be a better composer. You could hear the changes.
Oh yeah.
Like actually like sitting and listening through each of the soundtracks.
Yeah.
The second is still my favorite. That's subjective. What was the original question?
It's just your overall thoughts. Like, just what
Overall thoughts? Oh,
you kind of said a little bit of it.
It's a good kind of generic.
It is very generic, and
it's that bothered me listening to it because Toy Story was one of my favorite franchises of Disney or Pixar or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right.
It was weird. It was bland.
Yeah, going back through and listening to it, I had a lot of odd feelings about it. If that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was.
I don't know how to. I think we both had the same feeling. I don't know how to describe it.
Like, I went back through and I was like, this is great. This is really good. This, like, there are good songs in this, and like, I'm not gonna diss on it, but I do think that there's a lot that could have been that wasn't.
Yeah.
A lot of it was, I don't know. We kind of missed out on a bunch that I thought could have been there. Now, I do understand that the times have changed from when Toy Story first came out.
1995.
Yeah, to now, we've gotten so much, like, not only have we developed as people who have watched the show, or the movies, but the development of Randy Newman himself going through Monsters Inc. and going through different phases in his life, really writing music for different things. You see,
not just his own personal development, the development of the industries that he works in.
Yeah.
The music industry and the movie industry, all of that good stuff. Production changes all over the place.
Yeah. And like,
especially that was from 1995, so that's over 20 years of working.
Yeah, it's not an easy feat to be writing new and vibrant music like that, even now. And
in a sense, it still is vibrant.
Oh yeah,
it still very much is like masterfully done.
You listen to parts of Toy Story 4 and there's a lot of good, like there's a lot of emotion that's portrayed in Toy Story 4's soundtrack, and I think that's really good. I think that
see, Toy Story 4 is the only one that I didn't listen to.
I think without that soundtrack we wouldn't have we wouldn't have the feel of Toy Story in the movie. And now
We
I
wouldn't have
haven't
Toy
seen the
Story.
movie itself, so I can't really talk on that. But I did listen to the soundtrack, and it very much sounds like Toy Story. I think that's important for any composers.
That's the signature thing that I wanted to bring up. It's a good kind of generic. I had said that it fits, and it would only fit in Toy Story. It wouldn't fit in any other movie, television show. The songs are legitimately for Toy Story. It could not be anywhere else. He has made a signature style for Toy Story that we know and love today, that we will all recognize whenever we hear it. And that it's weird.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, it's not generic anymore. It's one of the best things you'll ever listen to. It's one of the most original things you'll ever listen to.
For sure. And like, I don't know. Randy Newman had to write so much for the Toy Story. And I went back, and when I was listening through all 4 soundtracks, I listened to it all in one sitting, basically. And so it was, you hear that "You Got a Friend in Me" theme throughout the entire thing. And while we don't
not
always
only that
get
one, but there are a few compositions that he did early on in the Toy Story soundtrack that are reoccurring in 2 and 3. Like I guess you would just like call it a home base. He made a home base that we would all recognize throughout the entire franchise.
Well, he definitely made a theme.
That was dope.
And themes in music is so important, especially when you're writing a soundtrack. And I think we'll continue to go into this as we continue the series. But themes in music is really important. And being able to have like a set theme to your music is like, gosh, he set that.
Yeah.
You got a friend in me. Like, you hear that anywhere else, and it's not.
Yeah. Nah, that's my point earlier. It is that it. I'm tired.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I love it.
It's definitely a, like, I don't know. He's created a brand, and like, it's just like, I'm gonna do an odd comparison, but go with it for a second here. Just like you don't call a Kleenex a tissue, you call it Kleenexes. That's a household name. If you ever heard bum bum ba bum bum bum, you'd be like, that's Toy Story. And it's you're completely tied to it, and it's immediately there. And so
I think that's a better name for it, is branding, because it's not only You Got a Friend in Me. Of course, that's like every Toy Story, and that's literally all Toy Story is that one. God, it's Newman song, but it's that one Randy Newman song.
Oh yeah. Well,
and that's not the only thing he used either. I forget what the actual OST name for it is, but I think it was like the first song after all song. A little composition that he did. You'll hear this little melody, and I forget exactly how it went. We'll probably have to like listen to it back, but you'll hear it throughout Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, and I thought it was so dope. It's something you wouldn't immediately recognize had you not listened to the OST like by itself.
Yeah.
So cool.
I think
I'm gonna have to listen to it back and tell you what it was.
Personally, and it's kind of weird for me, but personally, some of the stuff that I find really interesting about it.
You're going in and out.
What did you say?
You were going in and out for a second.
Oh yeah. So personally, what I find really interesting through this whole, like, listening through the soundtrack and everything, Randy Newman doesn't write good vocal music at all. His
No.
and
No.
and we all know that. Like, we know that
Mm.
Randy Newman doesn't have that great of vocal music. Like,
Mm.
right now I'm playing I Will Go Sailing No More, and I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah. See, that one, it wasn't just his voice that bothered me. The lyrics are kind of, I feel like he was trying to write songs that you could, if you wanted to, bring out of it. He wanted it to have like a universal meaning too, which is dope,
Which is
which is what you're supposed to
understandable.
do as a songwriter. He did not go about it well at all.
Right.
He was still stuck in Toy Story mode, so this
And
is
he
only going to be
and he
sports.
keeps that going throughout all of the Toy Story movies. Like, the his I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4 is very much a song
Yeah,
written for somebody to listen to.
yeah,
Like,
in Toy Story. That's it. I feel like at a certain point he just kind of gave up.
yeah.
TBH.
I mean, I still think that you see a grow up, like, you feel like you've grown up after you've listened to the whole soundtrack, like to all the soundtracks, but also I don't know if that's growing up or wanting to die. It's kind of it's in between both, to be honest, because I'm like, half of me's like, this is great, I'm so glad I'm up to the fourth one, and then I'm like, I'm so glad I'm moving on to new music, because man, this is rough.
Well, see, another thing is you listen to all four at once.
Right, for sure.
So that's definitely going to have an impact on how you see all of these soundtracks.
And that's true. Like, it
But
wasn't, you're not made to listen to it all at once. But it was something that I was like, you know what? I want to hear what he's trying to get across. And as a composer, you should be able to have everything tied together. So it should flow within, even if it is between multiple different soundtracks. Just like, and I'm sure we will go through this one eventually, but Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 soundtrack plus Guardians of the Galaxy 2 soundtrack is amazing. And it fits perfectly. And that was important going into it, that they make it so that it flows easily.
The song choices, the choices that they made at specific scenes were hilariously accurate. That's one we'll definitely have to get to. I'm gonna go off on a tangent if I start right now, but oh my god.
But no,
It was actually extremely good.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one, because that was an importance. Like, those soundtracks were really important. I want to go back to talking about Randy Newman. Sadly, Randy Newman wrote a lot for Pixar. I didn't realize it until I went to his website, which he has, and
His website. Oh god.
and I looked it up.
See, I was too scared to look.
Randy Newman wrote soundtracks for stuff like Parenthood. He wrote not the TV show, the movie.
Oh, okay.
James and the Giant Peach. He wrote the soundtrack
that one was
for
fun.
A Bug's Life, for Monsters Inc. So he has a lot of good soundtracks. I think that, like, I don't know.
All over the place.
He's all over the place. Seabiscuit. Like,
He wrote for C. Are you serious?
yeah, he wrote the soundtrack for Seabiscuit. Like, he has some really good stuff. And then you get into this really boring, like, Toy Story music that, don't get me wrong, I think he's a great composer and, like, has done a lot of great work. However, there's a lot that he didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think go ahead.
Just as you were talking, I kind of got the sense. I think he did that on purpose. He held back on purpose because at the end of the day, this is a kids show or a kids movie.
Right.
He made melodies that were simple enough to where it would evoke emotion and not be too overly complex for a child to hear. And he also made repetitive melodies, the things that I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that I thought was super smart that he just like snuck in there every once in a while to bring the kids back to this home base feeling of like, oh, this is like a similar emotion or a conclusion from where we started from point A. Now we're at point B. And it was actually kind of smart to me that he
Yeah.
held back.
I think he wrote for Toy Story itself, and you can see that.
Yes.
You know that he's written crazy good music. Like, he's written stuff that's mind blowing, like the
Mm-hmm.
Seabiscuit soundtrack, stuff like that. That you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, this guy is really good. And then you go to like, I think he just differentiated between his music that he wrote for like Pixar in those movies and the music that he wrote for some more not adult but more grown up
I get what you're yeah.
music.
And
Like,
more mature themes.
and I
More
mean,
mature people. He wrote it for a more mature audience.
right. I know we're
Like
not.
people who could like feel whatever he wanted to invoke.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of an unsung hero to me. The
He
more I think about it.
he really is, and I mean, I know we're not. I know we're trying to stick to just talking about Toy Story, but um,
I
Randy,
kind of figured it would end up this way, TBH.
right? Randy Newman also wrote the soundtrack to The Princess and the Frog, which is a great soundtrack. Like, it's got
What?
yeah, which is
Bruh, that was oh yes.
which has got some really
Bruh,
good
Randy
music in
Newman
it,
is like my new favorite artist of all time, dude.
right?
Princess and the Frog was so dope.
Like, Randy
Okay.
Newman is low key a musical genius, and that's my.
Look.
And we're 15 minutes into it, and
Mm.
I'm gonna already reveal that is my take on Randy Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Randy Newman is a hidden musical genius. Thanks, Discard.
He is a genius. And it's weird because it's not like it was really hidden at all. We just didn't pay attention because it's Randy freaking Newman.
Yeah, no,
We're the idiots for not noticing it sooner. And that's crazy to me.
we didn't. You don't
Because
think
it's all of the movies we know and love.
exactly,
All of the soundtracks we would recognize in a heartbeat. And it was all this one dude. It's like, dang.
right?
You really did not give him enough credit. But like before we started listening to the soundtracks, I think I told you it sounds like he always has like food in his mouth, or is like a little bit sleepy or a little bit drunk before he records. It's just like he's sitting in the studio. He got like 15 minutes left, but he ain't have lunch, so
Yeah,
he going to the recording booth like, Christ.
yeah.
And he little did we know. He has actually gone above and beyond anything a lot of artists out here could hope to achieve.
Oh yeah, and he did it so graciously. Like, for all the hate that Randy Newman's gotten, and I'm like, he doesn't get necessarily like hatred, but he gets a lot of flack.
Oh, he's gotten his
people.
fair share, and literally just because of his voice. Like that's it. They have Family Guy episodes about his
yeah, right.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that Randy Newman is, like I said, a musical genius, but more than that, Randy Newman is a gracious person in general, because he's put up with so much. I eat fire. Thank you for the diamond and the ice creams. But yeah, I think we should go into I don't know. Let's go into the important moments in the Toy Story series. Some of
Yeah.
those moments that the score was really important and really got you into it. That
When Somebody Loved Me. That song. Perfectly placed, perfectly timed. You can listen to it. That's the one song you can listen to outside of Toy Story and still freaking cry.
exactly.
It's the most beautiful moment of the Toy Story series, hands down. And I'm so glad they brought that in. Oh my lord.
I totally agree. Like, and
It was,
yeah.
it'll have you crying afterwards. Just listen to Wendy and her annoying voice. Oh my lord. I don't think I've ever cried so hard at a movie, let alone a cartoon.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was young when I watched it.
And
Like, I rarely cry to anything.
I don't know, like for me, I pull in a lot of the emotion in the music, and I think Toy Story 2 does a lot of that. I don't think Toy Story 1 portrayed enough emotion. I don't think that Toy Story 3 or 4 portrayed enough emotion, but I think Toy Story 3 really got you like emotional.
You didn't think Toy Story 3 did anything for you?
I mean, Toy Story 3 was all right for me. Like it was definitely better than Toy Story 1, don't get me wrong. But it wasn't where I wanted it to be after a Toy Story 3 movie.
Yeah.
Like after having a Toy Story 3 soundtrack, I'm like Toy Story 2, excuse me. Soundtrack, I'm like, yes, I'm ready, let's do this, I'm ready for another good soundtrack. And then I'm just like, I don't know, like,
oh, okay, you're talking about the soundtrack itself.
yeah, the movies, I'm not like, the movies were great, the movies were really good, but I'm talking like and
just purely the soundtrack,
like putting emotion in my heart. Toy Story 2. Thoughts.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again?
Also, side note, When She Loved Me was sang by Sarah McLachlan, who also sang the song from the famous dog commercial. So, of course, that's going to evoke emotion. I'm going to be like, my toys are going away.
Give me all the toys. Just give me all of them.
I just want to adopt all the toys. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ. Lord, you know that commercial still plays?
Yes, it does.
It still plays.
And the thing is, you could imagine this. You could replace the Toy Story, the Toy Stories 2 scene of When She Loved Me with the In the Arms of the Angels song.
People their YouTube videos
and
about it.
And you could swap it.
It has happened.
You could literally put When She Loved Me on the dog commercial. You could put... and you could swap it.
Funnily enough, it's still perfect.
Exactly, it works. Which, I don't know if that's Sarah McLachlan or just coincidence.
No, I think that's just Sarah. That's huge coincidence. But oh man, that speaks on her artistry. But that's for another time.
Right?
Oh my God, I could sing so many praises about Sarah. Even for the meme that is.
Even for the memes, she's really...
That song just kills you, dude.
Yeah.
Actually crazy. Like, if you haven't taken a moment to legitimately just put on that track, sit back, close your eyes, and listen to it, please do so.
Right?
It's not just the dog commercial meme. It actually has hella emotion behind it. And I wept. I wept in my room at like 2 o'clock in the morning to that song. Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
forgot what the
it's
question
all
was.
good.
I was
Um,
having a little
the
fangirl moment.
question was, what Toy Story soundtrack slash movie was most important to you? So
The
like
second one, though.
the second one,
So yeah, no.
and
The first one did not evoke any emotion at all. It brought out key points in the movie. If you were to watch it, it popped where it was supposed to pop. It was subtle where it was supposed to be subtle. It was perfectly made for a movie.
yes,
Toy Story 2, I didn't. It was still the same, but I could feel that he was actually trying to invoke emotion, not just from watching the movie, but from sitting back and listening to it as well. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't just film that made you feel,
oh yeah, it was
and
much more than
that was
just
really
film.
cool to me.
Um, it's one of those soundtracks that you can sit and listen to and get so much more emotion than uh, than you have to if you're watching it or not. Like either way, you're still gonna get a bunch of emotion coming through it. Um,
Like when was when they were trying to get squeakers back from the whatchamacallit,
I'm not sure which part
the
you're
yard
talking
sale,
about.
the yard sale.
It's been so long since
Toy
I've
Story
actually
2,
seen the
that
movies.
little penguin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Remember the old penguin
Yeah.
that kept wheezing? They
Yep.
were trying to take him back from the yard sale. You
Oh,
could
yeah, yeah,
feel
yeah.
every step, and you could feel the sadness when they knew like this might be the time. You could
Yeah.
feel the sadness and the little after moments of Wendy talking. You could feel the how would I say it? Like the underlying, just kind of like this little eerie feeling that something might not be right with that prospector.
Yeah. The music,
And that
the
was
music
enjoyable to me.
in most soundtracks, and we'll see this recurring and recurring and recurring as we continue to talk about movie soundtracks and game soundtracks too, is that if you
Yeah,
listen
that we got to go through.
if you listen to a soundtrack, it gives away so much of what's going on. But since
More than I really thought.
and like I listen to the beats of Toy Story 4 without watching it, and I can tell when the beats are going to be conflict, when a bad guy is introduced. You can tell that stuff it's because of music
Part
writing
of
and
me
music
wonders.
listening.
Part of me wonders if, because we already watched the movies, that helps to like predict where everything is.
Right.
But I don't think. I think even without it, we would still be able to have some inkling. I
Yeah.
think it was made well enough where it would still invoke said emotion if we were to listen to it like any other orchestral piece.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think listening to music before something comes out can change your view on it. Um or before you see it can change your view on it. Just I like
Hmm.
to associate that with the same thought of reading a book before you watch the movie
Yeah,
is different. Same with
it
listening to
is.
a soundtrack, and I shouldn't like that shouldn't you shouldn't think that would be that much. Like you wouldn't think, "Oh yeah, the soundtrack has more in it than the movie does," because the soundtrack's the exact same in the movie as it is outside of the movie. It just doesn't have the movie with it outside. But
That's
you can
debatable, but the
focus.
feeling I get is there. Yeah.
You're focused on the soundtrack, not watching the movie.
That's true. Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
for a lot of people, it's um. I don't know if I would say that's the exact same. Like the feeling I get is there. I get your point. Reading the book versus watching the movie of a certain series will inevitably feel different.
Right.
It's written. The book is more like a pure form than the movie. The movie is an interpretation of. So I don't know if I feel like that's kind of backwards. I feel like if you were to watch the movie before reading the book, you might have the same feeling as we're having right now, listening to the soundtrack before watching the actual movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more to uncover.
Yeah.
There's all of the things that were meant to happen besides the things that we imagine.
I can agree to that. Like, that does make a
Well,
lot of sense. However,
even on that sense,
when you're
it's like,
focused, it's just
mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. A lot of it comes to me where, like, the idea of focusing specifically on something, like when you're listening to the soundtrack to Toy Story 2 alone, you realize, wait, Randy Newman wrote electric guitar? And you ask questions like that. where
Yeah.
where watching the movie you're like, electric guitar, it's just there, you don't really think about it. Does that make sense?
Bro, on that, yes, it does. On that note, that's a beautiful. On that note, the Woody's Roundup. That felt like it would actually be a show,
Oh yeah.
and I'm upset that it's not. Like, I want to see this.
Yeah. For
I'm
real.
gonna try to look for that after and see if they actually like recorded anything like that.
I know we have an animated Buzz Lightyear show.
Yes, we did.
And we're not including that in any of our analyzation of the Toy Story soundtracks, just because that would take forever.
Well, no, it really wouldn't. They only use like one or two of the same soundtracks in every episode.
Do they really? I didn't
Yeah,
hardly
I
watch
watched it as a kid.
but
Yeah, that was a big part of my childhood, was the Buzz Lightyear show. And oh my god, that was fun to watch actually. It was like a watered down Star Wars. It was really cool.
That's awesome. And apparently, I looked up some more information on Toy Story. Apparently, that was meant to feel like it was meant to be like you were. That's what Andy watched as a kid.
Okay.
So like,
yeah, then the soundtrack completely, that makes sense.
And that's why
that's a good way to put it.
And that's why he bought the Buzz Lightyear toy, and that's why he had that. And obviously Woody's Roundup would be the reason why he bought the Woody toy.
Funny.
Gosh. I
never really thought about it.
I like Toy Story 2 because they explore Zurg more, and Zurg's one of my favorite characters from the Toy Story lineup. Not even just because he's my D&D character, but like I think Zurg is such a cool design, and I love him. I love him that way.
Oh, little yellow mouth. But he looks elongated for no reason.
Yeah, right.
You really do. Tell me I'm wrong. That's not a face. That's a whole tower.
It is.
This look like a hotel on his head.
And if I had a Zurg toy, I would have played with him all the time.
I swear to God, they do exist.
Oh, I know. I think another thing that looking back, listening back, something that was really impressive in in Randy Newman's writing was the fact that he makes it feel this is a space western, all sorts of shit. Like like you have Buzz Lightyear, who is from space, and you have Woody, who is a cowboy, mixing with like all sorts of different stuff, and he makes it so that you feel like those separate but together.
The contrast is perfect. Perfect imagery.
Oh yeah.
And that goes throughout the entire series, actually. From talking about being from two different worlds in the first movie, and the second movie, where you are now versus who you used to be.
Yep.
And Toy Story 3, the same thing. It's how do I say it? It's almost like a metaphor for evolution.
A little bit.
I don't want to say like a metaphor for life, because it's not just completely life.
I mean,
but it's that
I
one
would go as
aspect
far
of
to
it,
say as a metaphor for life. That
Okay.
the conglomeration of Toy Story 1 through Toy Story 3. Because Toy Story 4 wasn't supposed to be made. Toy Story 3 was supposed to be the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it surprised me when they said there was a fourth one.
Little Randy
All right,
Little Randy Newman, okay.
Dead horse. All right.
Okay.
Lord.
Strange things are happening. Yes, strange things are happening. Disney just wants more money is what's happening. That's strange.
On a real note, yeah. That's literally the only reason Toy Story 4 was made.
And they're not going to stop at Toy Story 4 either. We're going to get a Toy Story 5, which isn't going to be great, but they're going to come out with one.
It's like Cars. Cars should have stopped after the first Cars.
Oh yeah, we shouldn't have gotten 2 and 3. We definitely shouldn't have gotten 3.
No. I refuse to watch it to this day.
Right? And I was scared for this should be a conversation for another time, but I was scared for The Incredibles for that exact reason. Yes. Speaking of The Incredibles,
thank God it came out well.
Little freaking teaser. That is definitely within one of these next 2 or 3 weeks. We're gonna do The Incredibles.
Yes. Yes. The soundtrack on those is so
it's
dope.
so good. But let's not go into it too much. Let's get back on track with the Toy Story stuff. Favorite song in the whole soundtrack? Go ahead.
Oh, you know. You know exactly which one.
I know exactly what it is.
But a close second, Strange Things.
Strange Things?
Strange Things. Just because it's one of those things that's so bad that it's good. The more you listen to it, the more you love it. And actually listening to the lyrics, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Especially for its time, 1995. I gotta keep remembering, 1995 is when that was made. I would listen to that legitimately. It's a bop.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. Even with this crazy, I'm glad that he was the one to sing it. That made it signature, is Randy Newman's voice. It is so much fun. It really is.
I can't remember the name of it, but... And it's so interesting that both of our, like... I know your first choice was from Toy Story 2, which overall is the best soundtrack out of the 4.
Best movie out of the 4.
Agreed. However, my favorite song, I guess, in the whole thing was, and I forget what the name of it is now, but it's that scene where Woody gets repaired.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. And yes.
And
no, that was actually. Oh man, that might be the most well done scene.
Oh, it was such a great scene. Such great scene, and it's ASMR through the roof. And I love that scene.
No, that was honestly, listening to it, it didn't even feel like it belonged in Toy Story.
It felt
That felt.
there were two parts of my soul that were felt in that moment. Half of me was, this is amazing, and half of me was like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Because, like, we know that we're going more into the movie itself, which I'm fine with. We'll come back. We got 20 minutes left, and we'll wrap back around.
Okay.
But with the movie itself, that they've already established that the toys can feel pain outside of the real world, like inside the real world. Because when when Woody gets tortured by Sid, we know he can feel the pain.
Yeah. Yep.
So getting cleaned like that, like
For when Buzz fell from
a cotton swab over your eyeball, that doesn't sound too good. Like, it felt like you don't. It felt like a torture scene, to be honest, and I hate saying that out loud, but it did feel like.
To me, it was more like a surgery.
Yeah.
Like, straight up like a surgery that you would see in any hospital. Like, yeah, all of this stuff is painful as hell, especially if there's no like. Thank God he went into his quote unquote like toy mode or whatever you would call it.
Yeah, toy mode. Which,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about when they just go limbo.
Yeah, which
But
are
yeah,
all toys
it felt...
programmed to do that? Because I think so. Because Buzz himself, if Buzz thought he was an actual, if he thought he was an actual astronaut, then then he wouldn't be going into
now
toy
we're getting
mode.
Into lore and conspiracy, and I'm gonna love that even more. We need to stop this one as soon as it begins. Oh man.
The cleaner was in the second one. I was wrong. The cleaner was in the second one. But yeah, I'm listening to that right now. It's only a 43-second soundtrack part.
It's perfect. It's so
excuse me, a minute and 50-second. I was looking at the wrong one. But
the old
still,
man, in fact, isn't that the same old man that was the principal in the not the principal, the teacher in The Incredibles?
No. That's the same old man that was in that short. That was the chess scene short where he was playing himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. It's the
exact same old man. And
okay, because they usually do stuff like that. I'm like, huh?
And they still, like, don't get me started on Disney shorts, but Disney short music is good. Like,
oh man, it's so good. Like, we could talk about that chess scene. That music was dope as hell. It was something. Everybody's seen Reddit. It's something that felt like that, except bundled into maybe like a 2, 3, 4 minute short.
And I think, like, addressing the shorts, shorts from the movies are, you have to focus so much on portraying a story in 5-10 minutes. So, where in a movie you have 2 hours to portray a story, this you only have 5 to 10 minutes to portray everything you want. So you have to do it through music. You have to do it through subtle visuals. So, yeah.
In fact, I want to challenge people at home to like go back. There's a certain short. I believe it's just called Birds. But it's about these birds literally just sitting on a perch. See what you can actually notice just from like closing your eyes and listening to. Like after everything we've dissected today, dissect
For the
yourself
Birds
and
is the name of it.
For the Birds, okay. So go watch For the Birds on YouTube, and just close your eyes and listen. Try to dissect for yourself. See how much you enjoy and how much you don't. see what you notice and what you maybe didn't notice before. If you,
Right.
it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's something I haven't really done.
Yeah, we could talk about these shorts over and over. My favorite short is this snowman short at the beginning of Finding Nemo.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's really good. It's a snow globe, and it's really good. You should definitely watch it.
Oh yeah.
But I guess back on track for a little bit. Let's see here. We've kind of addressed a lot of what I really wanted to get out. Do you have anything that you want to talk about specifically about the Toy Story soundtracks?
Me?
Hmm?
Yeah, we were kind of all over the place about it, but I feel the same way. We covered everything. So you said your favorite moment was the repair scene?
Correct.
Did that feel out of place to you?
I mean,
like at all?
It feels a little out of place to me in the fact that it's not what I immediately think when I think Toy Story. I don't think of collectible toys, but the Prospector himself was a collectible toy. So the storyline behind it makes sense to have it like this guy's collecting these toys. Like they're not actual toys to him; they're collectibles. So in my case, like my Funko Pops, would those have a personality? Maybe. Like at what point do you develop a personality as a toy? And that's such a weird question to ask, but like what point do you gain sentience?
I feel like Toy Story 4 is going to add
to
answer that question once we actually watch it.
I agree. Like,
because if you can make a spork into a toy, you can do fucking anything.
Yeah.
But,
like, is Buzz Lightyear on the toy line, and as it's going by, they're putting pieces of him together, and once he gets to the end, before he goes into his box, he's like, "Fuck yeah! I'm a Starman! Yeah!" Like,
that was legitimately it. Because remember, he was mint in box when Andy got him.
Yeah, he was.
Like, I think it's a credit to the people who assembled it. I think what they're getting at is the people who make toys also love toys. It's like never growing old. You always have a young soul. So that's kind of cool to me to say. Oh.
Yeah.
It means that all of these toys were made with love.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's actually really pretty.
I think another part of Toy Story's not only built for kids to watch, it's all Pixar films are made for, like, they have an underlying meaning to them that's more for adults / parents. And I think
don't get me started on Monsters Inc.
Yeah. But
okay.
I think the Toy Story one is that the importance of Toy Story is parents letting their kids go. And in this, the toys themselves are the parents. And Andy is the kid, and it's letting him go and moving on. And knowing that...
I don't know if I would say that far. For the third one, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would say that for all. I would say letting go.
Yeah.
In a sense. Because in the first movie, Buzz had to let go of this idealism that he was this great hero. He had to, like, snap himself back to the reality that is, and, like, really learn to adapt. Adapting is the biggest message of Toy Story. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, adapting and learning. I don't know. I think growth if you're looking at all of Toy Story, it's growing and learning that not everything in life is the same, and you don't like.
Yeah, that's
So like
exactly it.
Toy Story 1, you have the learning to live with who you are. Toy Story 2, you have learning to live with
what you were.
And then Toy Story 3 is learning to give up what you have. And Toy Story 4 is what it's like to be sentient. I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know.
Toy Story 4 is you exist.
You are alive.
I can't wait to see this movie now.
Yeah, right? Once we're done, which is like 10 minutes from now, I'm going to be going, I'm going to be signing off, and I'm going to be going and watching this movie because, man.
We talked about it so much. It just needs to be done.
Yeah, like, I don't know. We've been saying for the past week.
I can imagine when you're saying that is this stupid spork with a smile on his face.
Yeah, I don't like.
I exist now.
Yeah, can you fucking imagine?
For real.
I am actual trash, and now I'm living trash.
Hey, look at me, but
wait, I'm not just me. I'm. Well, I guess some closing notes on the whole thing. If we want to just skip to the end, last 5 minutes, skip to the end. What are the things that people need to know? First things first, Randy Newman, musical genius.
Absolute god.
Absolute
legend.
Musical genius that we take for granted too much. Number 2.
So much.
Toy Story is very much a allegory of life. Like, of living and of just making decisions in life.
Number 3, it's not just dog commercials that make you cry.
Yes, not just dog commercials can make you cry.
Oh god.
And
I could go on forever. I'm sorry. Continue.
No,
I'm sorry.
You're good. The biggest thing for me in this whole conversation is the fact that we're not toys. We're human beings. Toys aren't alive. And that is the end of the podcast. My boy SoftEgo, where can people find you? Go ahead and plug yourself.
You can find me on Dlive.tv at SoftEgo, capital S, capital E, no space in between. And all of my other stuff will be in the About section. All of my Twitter, Instagram, all of that, which I don't really post to, is the only reason I'm not like plugging it. But yeah, primarily on Dlive. Almost every day now-ish. At random times. I don't really have a schedule. That's about it.
Perfect. And while I say my plugs, you need to think about what next week's soundtrack is, because you get to choose that.
Shoot, I get to choose. Don't let me choose.
My plugs are, I am on Dlive at LtWaggs. You can find the podcast at WaggsCast on all social media.
Hey.
And we will be posting this onto YouTube for all those viewers on Dlive right now. And people watching the replays on Dlive will be posting this on YouTube. So go give us a nice subscribe. That'd be great. Shout out to I Eat Fire, our top contributor of the stream. Thank you so much for helping the stream out and helping out tonight. That is the end of this. I'm going to go ahead and end us off on something that we all know was coming. We're going to play You've Got a Friend in Me, because you have got a friend in me.
Aw. Isn't that nice?
Now, Ego, what is next
What's
week's
up?
soundtrack? Excuse me, going to be?
Okay. So honestly, it feels a little weird to continue with the whole Pixar Disney thing, but we talked about it and I actually got excited about it because the soundtrack was dope. We should do Incredibles.
Okay, and are
We
we
really should. It would actually be good.
Are we doing both of them, or are we just doing the first one?
Have you seen the second one?
I have indeed.
Then let's do both.
Perfect.
There's no reason not to.
Alrighty, we will do both of those next week, and yeah, that is the end of this. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right.
And remember, you've got a friend in me. Bye for now.
Bye. I'm so sorry you had to hear that as the last thing.